So you're thinking about selling your home. And if you are, your head is probably spinning, right? One headline says the market's hot, the next says it's not. It's a lot. So let's just push those headlines aside for a minute and look at what the actual data tells us about selling in today's market. You ready? Let's get into it.
Deciding to sell your home is a huge deal. It's not just a financial transaction. This is the place you've made all these memories, and it's about figuring out where you're going to make the next ones. Just look at the headlines. It's all just noise, isn't it? High mortgage rates, crazy price swings, economic uncertainty. It's designed to be confusing. So what we're going to do right now is cut through all that confusion and give you the clear, straightforward data you need to feel confident. All right, so let's dive in. We'll start with the big picture, the market itself. To really get what's happening, we need to answer the three biggest questions on every seller's mind.
This is the big one. It's the question I hear all the time. With more homes for sale these days, have sellers totally lost their edge? Well, let's see what the data actually says.
Okay, so here's a key piece of information the headlines almost never talk about. To have what we call a neutral market, where neither the buyer nor the seller really has the upper hand, you typically need about 6, maybe 7 months of housing supply. Now look at where we are today. Even with more homes coming on the market, we are still way below that neutral line. Supply is still historically low.
So what does this all mean? Well, the bottom line is this. Those crazy, over-the-top bidding wars from a couple of years ago, yeah, they're pretty much done. But the basic math here, supply and demand, it still puts sellers in a really solid position. It's just a more moderate, less frantic market.
Okay, that's a fair question, right? With mortgage rates where they are, you'd think buyers would have just packed up and gone home. But that's not at all what the data is telling us.
43%. Just look at that number. What in the world does that have to do with selling your house today?
Well, that 43%, that's the share of all home buyers who are millennials. And this is a huge generation, and they are smack in the middle of their prime home buying years. So look, this isn't just some passing trend. We're talking about a massive demographic wave that's creating a steady, powerful stream of demand for homes just like yours.
And that brings us to the big one, home prices. Seriously, forget all those scary headlines predicting a crash. The experts, the people who study this all day long, are pretty much in agreement. They're forecasting that national prices will stay relatively stable, basically flat. We're not seeing the wild price jumps of the past, but we're definitely not seeing a collapse. What we're seeing is stability, a much-needed cool down.
All right, so that's the big picture of the market. But honestly, for most sellers, the most powerful tool you have has nothing to do with market trends. It's about the wealth you've already built up inside the four walls of your home.
Okay, let's do a quick refresher just so we're all on the same page. Home equity is simply the part of your home you actually own. It's the difference between what your home is worth today and what you still owe on your mortgage. Simple as that. And how do you build it? It's actually pretty simple. It happens in two main ways. First, every single time you make a mortgage payment, you're paying down that loan. And second, as your home's value goes up over time, your equity grows right along with it. It's an incredible wealth-building machine.
So how much equity are we really talking about here? Well, get ready for this. According to CoreLogic, the average homeowner gained over $60,000 in equity in just the last year alone. Wow, that's a huge boost to your personal wealth.
And take a look at this map. This wasn't just something happening in a few hot markets on the coasts. We're seeing huge equity gains all across the country. And for you, that equity is a potential game changer. It could cover most or maybe even all of the down payment on your next home.
But look, let's be real. A decision this big, it's almost never just about the money, is it? The real reasons people decide to move are usually way more personal. It's because, life happens.
Check this out. A recent survey from Realtor.com found that the #1 reason people sold was simply because they wanted a home with different features. Maybe a home office, a bigger backyard, or just a layout that works better for them.
And right on the heels of that, almost 30% of people sold because their home just didn't fit their needs anymore. Maybe the family's getting bigger and you're bursting at the seams, or maybe you're an empty nester rattling around in a house that's way too big. Your life changes and what you need from your home changes right along with it.
Okay, so let's say you've decided to move. Now comes maybe the most critical step of all, setting the right price. And in this new, more balanced market, you absolutely have to get this right from day one.
George Ratu, who's a senior economist over at Realtor.com, he really nailed it when he said this. Striking the right price from the start could be key to a timely and successful transaction. His point is, the days of just kind of throwing a high number out there and seeing what sticks, those days are over. Today's buyers are smarter, they have more choices, and pricing it right is the key to a smooth, successful sale.
So how in the world are you supposed to navigate all of this? The shifting market, figuring out your equity, nailing that perfect price, it really is a complex puzzle, isn't it? And that is exactly why having an expert guide is so crucial.
You can think of a great real estate agent as your own personal team of experts, all rolled into one person. They're your market analyst, your marketing guru, your contract expert, your tough negotiator, and your pricing strategist. Their whole job is to manage all that complexity so you don't have to.
And if you want to see the value of a pro, look no further than the negotiation table. This slide says it all, really. When you go it alone, it's you against a whole team of people. The buyer, their agent, the inspector, the appraiser. But with a professional agent, you have an expert in your corner, fighting for your best interests every single step of the way. So, when you boil it all down, this is about so much more than just market data or numbers on a spreadsheet. Your home, it's the stage where your life story unfolds. So the real question to ask yourself isn't just, is now a good time to sell? It's, is this house the right place for the next chapter of my story?